Hey guys, I am back again with another episode of the Red Playthrough. First thing I really want to quickly talk about is what's recently come up in the TCG community with people mapping booster boxes. My whole thing there is I will always defend a friend, and I will defend Professor K and till the cows come in because they are my friends, and I really do have a friendship with them. It's not like, oh, I met them online and I'm a fangirl. No, I actually do talk to both of them on their personal Facebooks. So I do talk to both of them. And I really do feel strongly enough to say, yeah, they were defending a company that does sponsor them. So a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, they're doing it because the company told them to. If Kay didn't believe in the company, he would have never stood up for them. And he wouldn't be sponsored by them. That's the whole thing. Is Kay actually does trust his company, he does believe in the company, he does buy from it, and he's even suggested to me to buy from it. And I have found their services amazing. Like, I ordered some booster packs, some loose booster packs, which will be going out soon from them, and I got pretty good pulls. Excuse me, gotta tickle my throat. But with the whole thing of mapping, we've known about it for a while. So I don't understand why people are now making such a big deal out of it, because I've always bought loose packs from certain people, like one of them being the Poke Capital, which is somebody you've seen me open from several times before, and I always get really good luck when I open from him. I don't know why. But you have to buy from people you trust, and that's the biggest thing, is it has to be a company that you're familiar with, that you trust, that you understand who they are and what they stand for. And for me, I trust Kay enough to be like, okay, well, if he trusts them, then they have to be a decent company, because he wouldn't suggest to a friend or to anybody to buy from a company that he honestly didn't believe in. And I will tell you right now, I don't like what happened, because I don't think it's fair to us as a community. Just like how people reacted negatively with PewDiePie having the New York Times go after him, I kind of feel like we're being attacked by somebody who's not in our community, who doesn't understand our community, who's just doing it for views. But beyond that, when we're talking about mapping, it's happened in every single set, so guys, understand that as well. And let's move on to something more historic. I was thinking, what do I want to talk about today? And I really feel like talking just in general about like World War II and what I find so amazing about it. Don't let me die again, no. I should have switched out, oh well. Gosh dang it. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch train him. I don't know why he's so weak right now. No. I'm waiting for it to explode. So what I find so interesting about World War II is the dynamics of the world. It really has changed, and we're seeing the dynamics where it's not just a conflict contained in Europe like it used to be. This is now a global conflict, because everybody's interlocked. Like I said before, the reason why Germany defaults on its payments to Britain and France for the First World War is actually because, you know, I'm going to use the escape rope. Is because the United States defaults on paying them back, because we were paying them to pay everybody else back. So we were, technically, it was like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And once we default, Germany falls into a depression, which causes the Great Depression, which leads to a bunch of other issues within the United States, at least, which I'll talk about at another point in time, if you guys feel like it. But it's a pretty interesting time period, because you start to see globalization come into effect. Sorry, you guys are gonna hear me eat Nerds. It's like my favorite candy, so I can't really help it. And somebody at my second job brought them in, and they're like, oh, here's some Nerds. I'm like, yes, Nerds, my favorite candy. So with the globalization, we have everybody interlocking, we have everybody going together, and that means once one country falls, everybody else does. That's what the issues they're having right now in the EU with what's the country called? Greece. Because Greece keeps defaulting and everybody's like, oh, Greece is gonna take down the EU. Well, yeah, it is. Oh, you flip. It blew up. Now I'm definitely gonna have to run out and heal again. Let's see if I can defeat it. And just thinking about like the EU in general, it's a great concept idea. Great on paper, not so great in practice sometimes, because when it happens with dealing with other countries and dealing with other people, it doesn't always work out the way we want it to. Okay, let's try this one more time. We're gonna run out and heal and then get back in and try this again. And I have to say, it's pretty interesting just watching it, because I think, not trying to get political here or anything, but if you look at the structure of the United States, where we have 50 states under one currency, each state has its own laws, where you have the federal laws or federal government who can overrule state law. I think that's originally what the platform was that they were trying to do with the EU, but it didn't work out that way. And it's okay. It sometimes takes a few attempts to get a country correct. You have to realize the United States had 3 different constitutions before the one we have today. So it does take some trial and error. And especially in situations like that, oh, well, okay. I ended up back where I started. Let's try this one then. We're eventually gonna find it. Okay. I guess he doesn't give us anything. I'm trying to find the guy that gives us Lapras. Well, at least I could sneak by those guys. We actually had 2 constitutions beforehand. We had the Articles of Confederation, which was one of them, which, yeah, it did work for a short period of time, but didn't really work in the long run. And because of that, we had to change over to the constitution we have today, which is the one that we still use today with the amendments added. I hate Confuse Ray. Let's see if he could, no. Thank you. And now I'm gonna switch it out. So we had the Articles of Confederation first, then we have the Constitution we have today, and with the amendments that we add on, amendments have to be passed by 2/3 majority of the House and the Senate agreeing to it, so it's really hard to pass an amendment, which is really interesting. If you want to see how that really works, watch the movie Lincoln when they're arguing about passing the 13th Amendment, because it's definitely harder than I even imagined. Yeah, it's a dramatization, but at the same time, it was really a good movie. Like, I highly suggest that one to anybody who's interested in, like, that kind of information. And I really didn't like it. I thought it was a great movie. I thought Daniel Day did an amazing job portraying Lincoln. I loved it overall. And I have to say, anything dealing with the Civil War, I really do enjoy a lot of, because I am such, like, a Civil War nerd, where anything with the Civil War I tend to watch and like be really fascinated by, just because it is such a good time period to look at the Constitution, look at how Lincoln suspends habeas corpus because he feels like it's protecting the nation. We look at like what's going on in the nation, where you have the North and the South fighting over the fact, is slavery legal, is it moral? It's an interesting time period, it really is. Switch out you for coughing. And it's a time period where we kind of forget like what they were fighting over. Yeah, they were fighting over states' rights, but at the same time, they were also fighting over the freedom of millions of people who didn't have freedom before because they were thought as being subhuman. Which, it's crazy to think of by our standards today. Like, if somebody said that today, they'd be like, oh my god, what are you talking about? Whereas back then, it was more normalized. It was, yeah, slavery exists because we're trying to help them because we feel like we're the right type of people. And that was a mindset they used to hold back then. I mean, the right sort of people were the ones who were going to save the world. and the wrong sort of people were the ones who were going to destroy the world. Like, you had to have everybody who was Roman Catholic or have some sort of religion. They had to have an understanding of who God is, what God actually does, because everybody had to be the same. Oh, I found the card key. So I can open the doors. Yay! I think that's what that does. Yes, score. You know what? I'm gonna go heal, and then I'm gonna come back here, and then I'm gonna open more doors. Okay, or maybe I'll get in a battle, and then I'll heal. Great. Fine whip. Pokemon. Switching to King. Come on, no. Thank you for stepping out. Well, that's good. And you also kind of have to look at U.S. history in general. It's a very interesting and eclectic form of history because we aren't just one civilization that came together. We're several civilizations that rebelled against the mother countries and threw off the shackles and then took everything from everywhere else. Like, jazz music is from the folk songs of African slaves who were forced over to America to work in the fields. And by the way, the original cash crop of the Americas actually was indigo. It wasn't cotton. Cotton becomes important later on, whereas indigo is our first major cash crop. And the reason why indigo is a cash crop is because back then, anybody who wore the color purple, because purple could only be made through indigo, they were considered royalty. So with the concept of royalty being purple, everybody wanted the indigo plant. So with that, a lot of people were demanding more and more indigo be made into this purple dye, and because of that, it became a very popular crop. A lot of people started growing it because, well, it was worth a lot of money. And I mean a lot of money. Let's open this door. Let's open this door. Let's see. We have the woman up here hiding. No, I don't want Thunderwave. Let's see. Ha! Sneaky snake. Sneaky snake. Let's open this door. I was able to run by him, isn't that great? HP. Thought I had to take a drink. Also, a lot of American history kind of is trial and error because you have like laws that are passed and then repealed pretty quickly, like the 13th Amendment, which is alcohol, which people are like, oh, America banned alcohol. Yeah, we banned alcohol because 50% of our nation was getting drunk every day and nobody could get anything done. It got to that like really bad point where it was really a bad thing and we couldn't do anything about it. We're gonna switch. And Prohibition, yeah, it did give rise to the mafia. Oh, I was about to be like, oh no, I'm poisoned. No, I'm not. It does give rise to powerful men like Al Capone, giving them the ability to terrorize everyday citizens, but at the same time, it was an error of invention for many people. Yeah, why did I use bite? I don't know. Let's see if I can get through this. No. I'm hoping I don't get paralyzed. I hate paral hacks. I'm switching. Thunderwave it. Great. I should have just shockwaved. Whoops. Oh well. And yeah, during this time period, you have a lot of people who have a lot of unrest going on because, well, what are they doing? They're selling alcohol to make ends meet because, well, there's not enough jobs. And because of that, we're going to go back down to 1 and we're going to run out of heal. Because of that, you have a lot of people who are suffering in many different ways. You could have people suffering because they've lost their house, they've lost their income. And there's a famous quote from somebody who actually came over to visit America. He's like, in America, they drink at any point in time. They drink in the morning, they drink in the evening, And the reason why people used to drink so much was because, well, water wasn't as safe as it is today. Back then, water could be contaminated very easily, and with contaminated water, a lot of people could die very easily from it. And I have to fight this guy, don't I? Yep. So, they used to drink a lot of ale, whiskeys, distilled spirits that actually did use water in it, but it wasn't like, oh, it's water, it's, I'm drinking something that is, no, shoot, should have switched. I'm drinking something that is water, but it's with alcohol, and it's safer because I know I'm not going to contract dysentery, blah. I can speak English sometimes. Dysentery and die from it. I know I'm just gonna get drunk off it, and that's okay by me because, well, if I get drunk, then I'm still gonna be alive. Whereas if I catch dysentery, I don't know if I'm gonna live or not for the next year, and my family needs me to survive. So a lot of these people, their choices was to drink. What the heck? Hold on. I don't know what just happened. It was like a really weird glitch. That was bizarre. So yeah, that was odd. Dysentery actually is a waterborne disease where people contract it, and what ends up happening is they end up literally dying of having so much diarrhea go through their body. It ends up taking all their nutrition. They can't hold anything down because, well, every time they eat or drink something, it just goes right through them because they can't hold it down. They physically can't because it's that bad. I'm gonna buy a few revives. I'm gonna buy at least 10, 11 of them. That sounds good. And then, really? I don't have great potions? Okay. Let's buy 11 of those too. Well then, and I don't feel like looking to go find great potions, I just wanted to get through this. So a lot of these people had that choice where they could either choose to risk contracting dysentery, or they can choose to drink alcohol, because alcohol was safer for them at the time. Yay, let's open both doors, because I want to see what that item is. And let's go here. Another interesting fact about that is with the contraction of like dysentery and diseases like that, a lot of people didn't understand how diseases were spread back then. They honestly thought it was a wrath from God. They thought in some way they had offended God, so therefore he was sending these diseases to wipe out people that he did not agree with, when in actuality it was bacteria. Bacteria wasn't well understood during this time period, so they would think that, oh, we've done something wrong, and that's why I hate minimize. That's why everybody around us is getting sick. Okay, thank you for passing out. I'm gonna send out you. Let's send out Timmy. Really? So they would think during this time period that people were getting sick and dying because of, they did something bad. Like, oh my gosh, your neighbor's from Italy, and the reason why everybody in the neighborhood's getting sick now is because God doesn't like Italians, which actually was a very common excuse back then. So a lot of people had to come to the understanding that not all the people that they thought were evil were actually evil. And yeah, it took a very long time period because a lot of people had these concepts already made in their head that certain groups of people had different abilities, and like back then Italians were considered white, they were considered Latino. And when you had a large population of Italians move into a city, people expected polio to be contracted and spread quickly through the city during this time period because, well, they thought that Italians carried polio. And they also thought that African Americans could never gain polio because they didn't think that they were susceptible to it. So if a kid who was African American contracted polio, the parents oftentimes were told it wasn't polio, that it was another disease that was like polio that acted in the same way. So they were never really told that their child had contracted such a deadly disease. And that's crazy to us thinking about it from today's standards, but back then that was normal. And it's really sad that it was normal in that way. Still can't believe the only one I can get is a freaking hyper potion. Okay. Let's go down. I want to get back to like floor 3. So I want to see if there's any other doors. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's go up to 4 because I want to get all the items in here. So that means I have to kind of explore and like backtrack at some points in time. I'll check my team case in like 2 seconds to see what else I've got. And I have to fight this grunt. Okay. Which I enjoy fighting grunts that I can defeat very quickly. Let's get rid of him. Vine Whip. Great. Pokemon. No, it's not what I want to hit. But I also kind of think it's very interesting how they would attribute certain diseases to certain groups of people and say other groups of people could not contract it, like polio, what I just said, how African Americans were excluded from contracting polio. Like, that's just bizarre to me, and I know I'm thinking about it more in today's standards. Okay, I want to go in my bag. TM case open. Okay, let's see if I got anything good. Ooh, yeah. Let's forget Gus. That's it so far. Let's open up this door. I don't want to go in there quite yet because I think this door has better, yep, this door has better stuff. Full heal, max revive, escape rope. Are you the guy who gives us Lapras? No? Okay. So I don't think there's anything but that pad there, so I'm gonna go up to floor 5. Right now I just want to gather all the items. I think I've opened all the doors on this floor. I'm just double checking. Yes, I did. So we can go up to floor 6. But it is kind of interesting to think about, like, the concept of, oh, certain diseases only certain people can get and only certain people can spread. And that was super common back then because they didn't understand how bacteria worked, as I stated. And they also didn't understand that bacteria was not something that you could see or was a wrath of God in any way. So it's kind of interesting and funny at the same time to like think about that concept where people were like, oh, it was the wrath of God, that's why everybody in the neighborhood's getting sick, not because, oh, well, people are getting sick because the street has dead animals on it. That really didn't cross many people's minds during that time period. So when people did start getting sick and people did start trying to figure out why people are getting sick, it was really confusing to them because they had no idea what bacteria was. They didn't understand how illness worked. Let's fight. Quick attack. So a lot of these people back then would think, oh, everybody's getting sick and dying because we've done something wrong. We've done something to offend God in some way. So it's very crazy, like, how much religion was a major part of their lives back then, but it's understandable. And I'm just talking like in the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is when bacteriology is in its infancy, and we really don't have the concept yet of how bacterium works. So it is sad and crazy at the same time for a lot of people to think about it that way, but that's honestly how it used to work. And you. Oh look, there's Gary. Hey, okay. So, yeah, I mean, it is a very interesting concept. It's a very hard concept for everybody to understand sometimes because it is weird to us. Like, I don't think at all today we're ever going to see somebody say, oh, well, this group of people spread this disease because they've done something evil against God in any way. So it is a weird concept in modern terms, but that's how it used to be, honestly. And as crazy as it sounds to us, it was what they honestly thought it was. Yeah, I'm gonna open that, Lauren. Go upstairs. I'm just gonna explore this episode. I feel I'm gonna explore and battle a lot, and then I'm gonna save, and I think next time I will be facing Gary Oak. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this with me, like randomly talking about different things. I really don't actually talk off a script. It's just what comes into my head. Oh great, you blew up. Wonderful. And I hope you guys are learning something from this because I think it's a pretty interesting concept to mix Pokemon and history at the same time because it's not something a lot of people would think of. I do actually use this in my classroom, this concept of teaching where it's a student's interest, whether it be Pokemon or it be there's a guy on YouTube who does like these Assassin's Creed videos where it's like true history of Assassin's Creed. I use that all the time in my PowerPoints and the kids love it and they feel like they learn more from that just because it is so different and it's something that a lot of these kids can relate to because they played the game, they know the characters, so it makes it easier on them. Okay, now I have to go out and heal. What floor am I on? Okay, so I will come back to floor 8 and after I heal. And I am talking the whole time. I don't really like to make cuts in these because I feel like if I have to like pause the video or something, that's fine. But I'm not going to cut parts out of it because I feel like it's running long. I don't feel it's fair to you guys. I still have to figure out how to speed up the film. Sorry for the motorcycle. If you guys heard that. No. I'm going to go to 8. Which I still have yet to watch that series. On History Channel a few months back, they did this series about the Harley brothers, where it literally showed how the two brothers who made Harley Davidson came to be and like how they created their company, which I thought it was a very fascinating concept. I really have never thought of that before, so when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is really, really cool. And that's the person who heals. Okay. Yes, the door is open. Let's go to 10. I want to find the guy that gives us Lapras, too. Yes, you're scared. Great, I have to fight this guy to get the Pokeballs. Okay, so what do you have? You have a Machoke. Well, I almost took him out. And down goes Machoke. And you grew up to level 32. Yay! Oh yes, I get the Venusaur. Here comes Venusaur. Now we're in Old Man Washington. Oh yes, rare candy. I know who I'm going to give that to. Ultra Ball found. And now I have to fight you. Magnemite. Oh, you no, I can't even say bad words. I don't like when that happens. It gets me so mad. Let's switch into Earhart. Nice. Thank you. Now I have to go down one flight, and then I'll heal up. And then we'll continue on to floor 11. And that's probably where I'll end off. I have to find Lapras next time. Maybe. If I feel like ending off there, or if I feel like exploring for like a few more minutes. Just because I don't want another short episode. Yes, I have to fight somebody. Woot! And you got a ton of Pokemon. Oh, great. And they're all super low level. It's changed over to you. Let's just give this to Earnhardt. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. I love reading your guys' comments. That's why I comment so quickly back to them if I'm around and I'm not doing anything. And it just makes my day to read comments from you guys, like to hear like what you guys are thinking, if you guys are enjoying this, what other suggestions you have. I am super excited about the growth of my channel. I take a lot of pride in my channel altogether. And I hope it does show to you guys that I do love what I've been doing. Alright, you know what? I am going to save it here, guys. If you guys like this video, please leave a comment down below. Leave a like. Give me suggestions about topics you want me to talk about. And until next time, bye, guys.